This week, the Bulls forgot to hit the record button. They spent 45 minutes making the podcast, and this was the moment they realized they had majorly fucked up.
I'm a bitch. You son of a bitch. Dead. Like, I need to see you rip a shot. You said you were going to rip a shot.
Do you have to see it right now?
Recording is in progress.
Yeah, I started it because I had a feeling the guys would need evidence. All right.
Oh,
Really hate
this is not for the world to know. This is not planned. Rip.
Is that a shot?
That's fair enough.
It's Evan too, which is like not great to shoot, great to mix. Cheers, boy. I can smell it. This is like way too much cup for one shot. Actually goes down really nice with a big turf tumbler.
That was Jack Daniels.
Evan.
Oh shit, even worse. Yeah, good for you.
That's my friend Yvonne.
Is that to make up for what happened earlier?
Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the podcast. I gotta share my screen over here.
Whoa, that needs to be the intro song.
I think it will be for sure. All right, whatever. Fuck me, dude. Here's the music. Here we go again. All right, turn that down. Cut that shit out. Here's the deal, team. Scott and I recorded a podcast. It was a damn good one too.
It was.
This is a labor of love. It is
arguably one of our best. Some would say one of our best.
We had to speed racer that podcast, and we got that shit done within 38 minutes. And it was clean. It was tight. It was awesome. And your boy here forgot to hit record. So it is now 10:42 p.m. in Mountain Time. So for those of you who are sleeping like little restful babies on the East Coast, it's late as fuck. But I'm going to do this podcast because we love you.
I think you should take another shot. Honestly, I think you should take another shot.
I'll tell you what. So instead of taking a shot, we're going to start off this week with this is actually a surprise for Scott because once we bailed on the first podcast, I had to go to a training, and as I was sitting there in that training, listening to non-important stuff like CPR, AEDs, how to save another person's life, I did a little project, and I would like to share that with Scott and the rest of the world right now in honor of everything that happened to me during week 7. So Scott, here's a little something that I made earlier tonight.
Oh, I love this. Okay. I have no clue what this is, by the way, for everybody in the world. Oh, Mississippi boy, Morgan Freeman.
So here's the deal.
Is there supposed to be music?
I haven't started it yet. It's 22 seconds. And I couldn't afford to buy Morgan Freeman's voiceover myself. So what I did was I plugged in a voiceover for this montage into an AI voice generator, and I have yet to hear it.
Okay. Let's go. I also have another idea for after this, by the way. Okay.
Okay. All right. So in honor of my team in week 7, here you go. This video is titled R.I.P. Topher.
It all started when Breece Hall scored his first big touchdown. He ran. While he ran, Breece lightning had finally struck. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. One by one they fell. Medical tests as far as the eye can see. Rest in peace, my sweet princess, until we meet again in week 2 next year.
I told it to laugh or cry.
At Gavin.
Oh no. Did you hear this?
No.
There's an instruction at the end of this to cry uncontrollably. And here's what it sounds like. Here, I'll play the back half.
My sweet princess, Until we meet again in week 2 next year.
Was that Morgan Freeman crying uncontrollably?
It's supposed to be. How do I get out of this shit? Get me out of here. I want out. I want out. I want out. Oh no.
Get out of that.
Oh no. I want out. Help. Zoom.
Sweet, beautiful
Help.
Morgan Freeman.
Oh my god. All right. So that was my RIP to my week 17. I'm gonna make this a whiskey Sprite. Go on. Yep.
Yeah. Am I supposed to was I supposed to jump in and say win? That is a heavy, heavy whiskey.
Scott, I lost everything. I lost everybody. I have nothing left. I'm a broken man. I'll tell you what I do.
I have this.
Can I? One more thing that I have lost that was brought to my attention by no less than Alex Orbeck after the week that I had where my music festival got canceled, all of my players got hurt. I found out going to McDonald's.
Oh, the McRib is done. The McRib is done. Is that where you're going?
I have no joy left, Scott. I have no joy.
The McRib is done.
I'll tell you, I was processing. I was handling it fine. I went to McDonald's tonight right before we started recording this podcast here. And I was doing fine until I saw the sign at the drive-thru that says McRib. Enjoy it like it's your last.
Rest in peace. The good news is you can order 1,000 of them and they will last forever. You don't even have to freeze them. Just leave them in nature. Just leave them be, and they will last and last and last until you want them. And that's the beauty of the McRib or any other McDonald's sandwich ever.
You bring up a valid point. So, things that won't last is my current win streak. Let's talk about the matchups, shall we?
Are we gonna jump right into it?
Yeah, we're jumping right back into it. I'm done with my pity party. I got Morgan Freeman to do that voiceover, and that made my night.
I thought that maybe we were going to lean a little bit more into what happened earlier.
Yeah, so let me go through this matchup here, and I'm sorry. Are you talking about the snafu we had with the podcast recording?
I'm talking about the 45-minute snafu. Yes,
Scott, let it go. All right.
There was just so much emotion and energy. We text afterwards and we both said, hey, that might have been one of the best we've ever done, ever. All for naught. Scott, drink a drink and let's move on. And to be certain, I am not blaming you. Drink. I should have recognized it because I'm the one that recognized it at the end. This is not a one-man rodeo here.
Yeah, well, we're going to get through this together. Let's jump right into it before we forget again. First matchup of the week, my St. Brown in the Broken Zones against all odds with 1 point from Amon-Ra before he got hurt, 2 points from DK before he got hurt, all the way down the board, down my roster, still somehow pulled out a win, 102 points up against Corey Eller, who only put up 100. And it's got to be said, the one thing that carried me to victory in this matchup, Austin Eckler. Even without having a defense playing, I had the luxury of being able to watch what happened before I decided to drop and pick up something to make that work. Austin Eckler, 36 points, keeping me in that matchup.
I'm still getting caught up right now.
There's nothing to get caught up on, Scott. My team dominated. Nothing went wrong. And I definitely don't have a lot of empty spots on my roster going into this week. It's totally fine. Yeah.
DK, no, I think we have to acknowledge the bullshit that went on with you this week, right? With DK and everybody else going down.
I can give you the list. Actually, hold on. I actually have a really great screenshot. I'll see if I can include it in the post recording. But I posted on Reddit about this because there was a post in the fantasy football subreddit about all the injuries that happened this week. And I made a quick post, just commented on the post that was the list of all the injuries. And I said, just to be clear, my roster includes Derek Carr, Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, David Njoku, and Mike Williams. And the string of comments that was in reply to that, it was a whole bunch of people that were saying, "Ooh, tough. Jesus, sucks, buddy. Like, I'd quit now." And I'm like, yeah, well, thinking about it.
But you still won as the kicker with all of that. You still won.
That is
right?
that is the crazy part. Is I still won by 2 points. Shout out to Austin Eckler for that one. Also, if anyone wants to trade me their entire lineup so I can field a team this week, that would be huge.
And what about T-Law? Where are you at with T-Law?
I love T-Law. I picked him up as a potential stash. So if you look back at it, I actually drafted him in the 9th round, and he was going to be kind of a backup RB2 because I already kept Derek Carr and I drafted Russell Wilson. I drafted T-Law as a flyer, but he had such a bad start to the year. I was kind of out on him. He had 13, 18, 25, but then back down to 5 and 10. So I've been real hit or miss with him. But lately, he seems to be doing a lot more with his legs. He has more rushing attempts than he started the season with. So I like having him on my bench in my starting lineup if it's a good matchup. So yeah, I'm sticking with T-Law. Drafted in the 9th round, could be a 7th round keeper if he really blows up.
Yeah, if we just are looking at this matchup, surface value right now, Kyler Murray, 17 points, Najee Harris, 11 points, Pollard, 12.9, 13 points, DJ Moore, 20 points, Goodwin, 11.5. You look at this, you're like, shit, that's a solid ass round.
Mm-hmm.
But you won. Like you won, and you even had a defense on your bye.
Yep.
Eckler just balled out, right?
Yeah. Eckler balling out single-handedly kept me in that one. I will say a point of note for Corey's team. I actually really like DJ Moore putting up 19.6 up against Tampa Bay. That was interesting. That's a tough matchup too. And put up 19.6. I like the 10 targets. I'm curious what he does against Atlanta this week. That's another NFC South divisional game that matters. Yeah. And I think weirdly enough, the Panthers, as much as we said they were fire sailing and moving on, I honestly think that team might pull off another win without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, DJ Moore might be that guy. He might be that guy.
You think? Do you think DJ Moore is going to be that second half guy?
No, I don't think you can like quantify him into whatever it is. I think like whatever their offense is going to be, it's going to be right. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm just saying like we're 7 weeks in, so we have we're halfway through the season, and if there was a big roster move that seriously affects the amount of times he's going to see the ball in a game, DJ Moore might actually be a second half star. He's got the talent. He's just never had the quarterback play or the opportunity. So
yeah, sure, yeah, possibly. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Next matchup we have is your matchup, buddy. You want to talk to me about how things went against Patty the Batty?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
It's all right. I know it's a recent wound, so I don't want to twist the knife too much.
Obviously it's still fresh. And for everybody who's seen the intro, I said earlier, I said again, quarterback play is always going to fuck me. I do not have a quarterback. If I can find a keeper or if I can get a quarterback whatsoever, I'm going to do that. Matty Ice, 9.9 at 10 points. What are you going to do? What the fuck are you supposed to do there?
Yeah, and then in your Superflex spot, T. Higgins,
who
when things 14. When things are really clicking for the Bengals, you would expect T. Higgins to absolutely show out. But it wasn't T. Higgins who got that secondary work. It was Tyler Boyd, who ended up being a top 5 scorer on the week.
And that's just like, that's how football goes, right? Like that's how it's the same thing. You could say the same thing for Tyreek Hill, right? Like Tyreek Hill is going to get points, but he got 14 points this time. And Waddle, I don't know what Waddle got, but Waddle had all the receptions. If you watch the game, everything went to Waddle every time. So myself, like that's gameplay. That's how shit works sometimes. Montgomery again, Montgomery wasn't great tonight, and that's just how things played out. Kittle, incredible game, 21.8, 6 for 98 and a touchdown. That's awesome. Awesome.
That's awesome. You love to see a trade piece put up like that.
Yeah, right. And at this point, half my team is a trade piece. So that said, I still need a quarterback. Honestly, am I looking forward to the future? Maybe.
Are you in full rebuild mode?
I'm not. No, I'm not in rebuild.
Are you fire sailing like the?
I'm
big
not.
boys?
I'm not fire selling at all. But if you have a good keeper, holler at me.
Yeah. So you bring up a good point. One thing that I've been thinking about with this league is I don't think we've officially set a trade deadline, and with it being a keeper league, we're going to get into that issue as we get closer to playoffs, with teams just deciding they're not going to make a run. They're going to go ahead and sell off, and then it's going to be, sell off what you have to the highest bidder who's in contention, and then see what kind of keeper value you can get. I'm curious to see how out of hand it gets this year. We might have to put some parameters around it for next year.
There should be a trade deadline for sure. There should be a trade deadline, no doubt about it, for sure.
Yeah. And someone in the group me asked about it too. I believe it was Gavin asked about a trade deadline. And truth is, I don't have an answer. This isn't something that we've had to deal with before. This is our first year with keepers already on the team. So now I think people are really getting into the groove of what kind of value different rounds have.
Yeah. There should be. If you look at what the value that it happens, it comes with, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll just take one spicy trade toward playoffs, and then it's going to kick off that convo for sure.
And it could be me, to be honest to God. It could be me. Like I've had offers right now, like where I'm like, yeah, should I punt the season? No, absolutely not. Do I feel confident? Yeah, for sure. I feel confident I can make the playoffs. 100%.
Yeah. I will say also having a trade deadline in place that everyone's aware of kind of gives you a point to say, okay, by week 9, if I'm not doing it, like it's time to start looking at moves. Yeah. And then whether you're in contention or not, you can kind of work it like a real football team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next matchup, we had Corey Funderburg putting up the high for this week, 167 points, only about 8 points shy of our league high so far. Up against Matt, who only put up 108. Matt now dropping to 4-3 on a 3-game loss streak since the JJ trade. But Corey Funderburg's team absolutely surging. Corey Funderburg had 3 of the top 6 scorers, regardless of position, this week.
Look at that research. That's incredible research out of your commissioner.
You'd be amazed what you can do when you're sitting through life-saving training. That is very boring.
Some would say that's maybe shot worthy. Should you take a shot for that?
I just took a sip. Is that not worth it for you?
I think it's a shot.
You said this was a heavy.
I think it's shot worthy. The people want to see the commish take a shot.
All right, a shot for the league, a shot for the boys.
For the boys. Incredible. Why he's doing that? Josh Jacobs with 36.5. Wow. That's a big number. Big number.
Josh Jacobs really, really showing up this year.
Do we love moving forward? Do we love him?
You know what's funny is Corey Funderburg also has Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, who we all expected to be the undoubted RB1. Josh Jacobs already RB4. Like he had potential to have RB1 and now apparently 4 now that the Raiders just give it to Josh Jacobs. Am I bitter because I have Derek Carr and he's now a handoff machine? A little.
Are you upset? Yeah. Are you upset right now?
No, I'm a bitter little tough because Morgan Freeman just reminded me of how many players I lost.
But if you keep running through that, you have Josh Herbert with 18.12, Jonathan Taylor 15.5, Devontae Adams 17.5, Olave 17.6. I mean, across the board.
Did you say Olave?
Olave.
Nailed it.
Is there an inflection? Should I put inflection? Olave?
Yeah. Put some respect on that name. As a Saints fan, I need you to put some respect on the one healthy receiver I have.
That's for me. And I have occasion influence on my family. So again, that's on me.
Yeah. And on Corey's bench, a 28.8 performance from Kenneth Walker. Best part of Corey's current lineup is Corey is the only person in this league who has already labeled his keepers. And his keepers are Josh Jacobs, Chris Olave, Joe Burrow, and Kenneth Walker. He basically just said, if you're knocking on the door, no solicitors. No thank you.
a fun fact that will top. I wonder if that's going to stay. So, like, that's what I want to know. Like, fast forward 13 months from now, will those keepers be the same?
I could see it because Kenneth Walker has insane value if he maintains the job. It's going to come down to whether or not Rashad Penny comes back to take that job after he gets healthy. And then Joe Burrow still has 3rd round keeper value because he was kept in the 5th this past draft. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Chris Olave, if he stays the 1 in New Orleans, he was drafted in the 13th. That's effectively his Mike Williams. Like, my Mike Williams was kept in the 11th. And like, there's just too much value to pass up on that. And then Josh Jacobs, if he actually does become a bell cow workhorse back, that's going to be the biggest decision that Funderburg will have to make, because he was drafted in the 4th, which is a great value this year, but drafting him in the 2nd next year, that might be a little dicey.
Is there any reason to think that he's not going to be that guy?
Not unless they pick someone up. Not unless they pick someone up in the offseason.
Okay. Yeah. That's actually astute. That's very astute.
Yeah. Well, hey, I do what I can. I'm only about a 4th of the way into this. Wait until I get 2/3 of the way down into it, and I'll be less astute.
Whoa.
All right. Next matchup, we have Alex Orbeck taking down Patrick Dragon, an electric 122 to 115. In the previous recording, we were trying to figure out if this was a late night victory from Alex Orbeck. And if I'm being 100% honest, I haven't looked at it enough to remember. So all I'll say is that it was incredibly close. The biggest point here that I saw is Zach Ertz on Patrick's team, who had previously put up double digits in every single week, only put up 6 points against New Orleans. This matchup was decided by less than 7.
Yeah, I mean, Ertz puts it up double digits every single week. He's Mr. Consistent. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. You can't look at that. But you also have to look at Jamar Chase and say, wow, right? 33 points. Like, he's not going to give you that every single week, too. So you have to, there's a little bit of give and take. And all I'm going with this is, like, you look at Christian McCaffrey giving 8.2, Samuel giving 9.4.
Hey, Scott,
good match. Yeah, it should have been that close. Probably not.
I'm going to push you on that. You said Jamar Chase isn't going to give you 33 every time. The last 2 weeks, Jamar Chase is 32.2 and 33. He's getting over 10 targets a game. I will bet you a shot on the next podcast that Jamar Chase puts up 30 plus against Cleveland. Done deal?
Done deal.
All right.
The podcast on.
We need like a something to say whenever we make a bet. We need like it's a bet, or you're on, or
well, and I think there needs to be more week to week stuff between players, like whatever it might be. If it's like
we need some accountability for our takes, is what you're saying.
If you're gonna shave your armpit, if you're gonna eat a fish mix sandwich, like whatever it's gonna be, like fucking let's have some fun with it, boys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if a week to week bet, it doesn't have to be like some kind of insane thing.
I would like to have a weekly bet on every podcast. I think that's fun. Yeah, I'll bet you a shot that he puts up 30 plus against Cleveland.
Are we gonna have a week by week podcast bet?
Yeah, why not? That's my bet for this week. If you're good with it, I mean, we already agreed to it, so we're doing it.
Well, yeah, I have to do it at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, and last matchup that we have to cover. Gavin Gilmore not breaking 100, only putting up 91 points against Alex Dragon, who is now our league leader, sitting at 6-1. Only put up 104 points, but it was enough to beat the Birchton Ballers. Gavin's team struggled at running back, 2 points from Damian Harris and 9 points from Nyheim Hines, 3 points from Keenan Allen, who I'm pretty sure that was just a dip your toe in the water kind of trial run. There's no way Keenan Allen is healthy.
I think you have to look at Jared Goff right now for Detroit. What's happening there?
Yeah, Scott referencing the super flex position for tossing lettuce, Jared Goff, who is projected at 15.1, only putting up 1.5 fantasy points.
Oh.
That offense was supposed to be like balls to the wall, 30 plus points a game. It was supposed to be absolutely bananas. And it really has not been the same since the bye week.
Did anybody buy into that? Right, like with the new coach.
Did anybody buy into the Lions? Yeah, you're talking to the DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and Amon-Ra owner. So yes.
Hey, if you wanted to DeAndre Swift, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. That makes Swifts for sure. Like for sure. Like I could see that.
So just to be clear, the first 4 week point totals for Jared Goff: 15, 26, 14, and 33. And then ever since they faced New England, 5.8, a bye week, and now 1.5. And they are throwing the ball a lot. These are just not connecting for touchdowns. Hasn't scored a touchdown since week 4.
Or anything long ball or anything, right? Like it's just not a quarterback that you want on your roster.
I think a part of that is not having Amon-Ra at 100%. Another part of that is, did maybe the hype of Hard Knocks finally wear off? Is the novelty gone? Has everyone moved on to the Arizona Cardinals in season hype?
The Hard Knocks curse is a thing for sure.
Is it really? What's the Hard Knocks curse?
Oh yeah. The Hard Knocks curse is for sure. Also, I want to like Leonard Fournette. What the fuck is Leonard Fournette?
I feel like you need a segment in every podcast that is just, what the fuck is up with that?
Am I wrong or am I wrong?
Yeah, you just need a section that's just like you say a name and you say, what the fuck?
I want to rant on Leonard Fournette. 8 for 19, 4.6 yards. Nothing. Like if he was getting like maybe, and I've talked about this previously, maybe I'll talk about it again in the future. Who knows? If he was a New England running back and he got the goal line touchdowns, yeah, okay, maybe, and he gets his points that way. Fournette is an enigma. He's an enigma. Nobody knows what's going to happen with him, right?
I'll tell you what Leonard Fournette is. Leonard Fournette is nothing but Secret Service trying to jump in front of the bullets that are coming at Tom Brady. He purely has Leonard Fournette in there because he doesn't trust anybody else to pass pro. Leonard Fournette is purely there to pass protect Tom Brady, and there is nobody better at the dump off pass than Leonard Fournette. He blocks and he gets out, and then he catches that dump off pass from Tom Brady. It's a safety valve.
That's your role. And he's gotten points in that one.
He's in full Mr. President slow motion dive in front of the defender. That's his only job. And then maybe catch a pass or two and then run. All right, that's going to wrap up all the matchups. Scott, I've decided that if I can have Commissioner's Corner, I'm going to give you what the fuck parallelogram, and you can just have that every week. We can give you a shape to reside in and just say what the fuck with any player you would like.
I can definitely get on board with that.
Yeah, we'll give that to you. All right, let's check out the standings real quick. So if we go over to our standings, things are evening out in the East Division. We now have Matt and Alex tied at 4-3. My team moving up to 3-4. I've upped my playoff chances into the 20s. Ooh, big 22% playoff chance now. And then we have Gavin at 2-5, Scott at 1-6. Over in the West, we have Alex Dragon leading the entire league, a full game ahead at 6-1. Close behind would be Corey Funderburg at 5-2, and then 2, 4, and 3 teams, Patrick Dragon and Wesley Fall, and then followed up by Corey Eller, now down to 2-5, last in the West, but still a game ahead out of Team Grit.
I think the parity is, it's great. Honestly, if you look at it outside of what Team Grit is offering, which isn't much, you look at everything else across the board. Pretty good league, I think. Pretty good league.
I really like the way things are shaping up. Alex Dragon being 6-1 was definitely a surprise from the beginning of the year, but Alex Dragon's been making moves. I said it last podcast that there's obviously a positive correlation between the number of moves that have been made and your current standing in the league. And if you look, he's been the most active manager just by number, and he's not doing it through trades. He's doing it through waiver wire and free agent pickups.
Do we think that's paying off though? I would love to see like what his free agent pickups and everything else has been done. But you're right. You can't deny the correlation
dude's in first. Yeah, like, is it working? Yeah, he's in first. Let me give you the projected playoff bracket, and then we'll take a quick break before we get to our fun little game for this week that we're calling Living on a Player. The projected don't sing it. We're gonna get copyright strikes. If you sing it well enough, we're gonna have an issue.
I just sung it well enough.
Yeah, we're getting sued now. Thank you, Scott. Your parallelogram is being revoked. It is now property of Sony Music.
I am 1-6, so come at me.
You're also a man with nothing left. I see you, and I drink to that.
I have nothing left. Come at me.
They took my McRib, Scott. This is now a McRib podcast. I'm so upset. I just had one, and it really felt like grieving a loss.
Tonight you did?
Yes, literally, Scott. Like, I still have fries.
Oh, we fucked up. We should have the McRib at the beginning of. We fucked up.
Dude, I scarfed it down. I did not savor it like it was my last. I fucking inhaled it. And I intend to go back before they go away forever. Projected playoff bracket currently has Alex Dragon and Patrick Dragon facing off in the 1 and 4 matchup. So a rematch of the Dragon Bowl. And then in the 2-3 spot, we have two people who finished on the podium last year. We have Matt Kumar and Gavin Gilmore facing off. Nope, not Gavin Gilmore. Sorry, that'd be Corey Funderburg sitting at 5 and 2. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was distracted by the Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey, and a tutu gif.
Initial thoughts on the first two.
On the first two playoff matchups?
Yeah.
I love having a Dragon Bowl in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind, the first week of playoffs is also the Toilet Bowl, where we determine the loser of the league who has to do the PowerPoint presentation for next year. Currently, the projection is Team Grit versus my team, the Pits. Yep. So going back at it, it's the same. It's the same two teams. Now one of them is just under a different manager. The unfortunate truth.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, Corey Eller sitting at 2 and 5 is only a tiebreaker away from being out of the Toilet Bowl. So it's possible.
I think we all
are. Don't look at me, man. I'm 3 and 4. I'm slowly escaping the bottom dweller status that this podcast started with.
Yeah. All I have to say is I'm not winning this week. Right? I have Alex Dragon. A fucking great lineup. Look at me past that.
Are you saying that you're a sleeper and everyone should watch out?
All I'm gonna say is I'm just happy to be here. And
all right, and with that, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We're gonna hop on a new Zoom call. Yeah, enjoy that, Wesley. We'll see you in a bit. Yeah, watch what you say now, buddy.
Oh, you did it. Good for you. Good for you.
Okay, all right, let's not. Don't patronize me. All right, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that commercial. When are we actually getting sponsors? Like, is that a thing? Can we get sponsored by literally anybody and just start making money off of this?
No, we're sponsored by Bush Bavarian. If you're Bush, it's worth it. It's Bush Bavarian.
Okay. On that note, I hope you got paid a lot for that.
I got paid nothing for that, not at all.
You do it for the love of the game.
This is mustache.
I had made Scott a promise that I already regret. So, Scott, we're going to start our game called Living on a Prayer. Nope, Living on a Player. And in the process of you talking about your old faithful, your old reliable, your player that you have been living on since we are halfway there.
Yep.
Get the joke? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Tell me about your living on a player. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and finish the rest of this drink because I told Scott I would.
As you finish my giving on, oh, that's wonderful. So my finish on the player is Tyreek Hill, obviously. if you look at what I have, it's
You're
Tyreek
gonna
Hill.
finish on a player. You're gonna finish on Tyreek Hill.
I will finish literally on top of.
No, we're gonna get so flagged. Please no.
If I could, I
You-
can't. I obviously could not finish.
This is a very different segment than what I thought it was gonna be.
This is the route you took it on.
You said it, man. I just called you out on it. All right, so you're living on a player.
Gross. Yeah. You're not drink. You need to be drinking right now.
Am I stalling? Who's to say?
It's Tyreek Hill. So my recap right now with Tyreek Hill. I did not have
Shut
him.
the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I did not draft him. He was not my guy at no point in time, but I lucked out and had a wonderful trade for Joe Mixon, of all people. Joe Mixon is a good player. He's a very average player. You're going to get 16 to 18 points with Joe Mixon. Literally 16 to 18 points with Joe Mixon. Like, what a wonderful trade. With Tyreek Hill, you can look at 18 points, 42 points. Again, I say week 2 at Baltimore on the road, 42 points, 5.3, fucking bust, obviously. 25.9, 13, 29.7, 14.2. So this past week, a fucking dud, obviously, but he's getting looks. And that is my guy. I'm trying to buy some time for Topher right now to finish his drink.
No, I'll be honest with you. I'm sitting here looking at Joe Mixon's totals because I honestly would have bought into Joe Mixon. Do you remember when you traded him? Because
yeah, it was like, I think it was week 4.
Week 4. Okay. Because week 1, 21, and then weeks 2 and 3, 11 and 6. But then since then, he's been double digits, 17, 12, 16, 18. And he's trending in the right direction. He got 17 carries in the last game. And if that offense is doing well, like if Joe Burrow's airing it out, that's going to give Joe Mixon a lot more room to run.
Which is a great point. But like, I don't know. I think Joe Mixon is handcuffed. I think, or not handcuffed, but I think he's capped. I think like he's going to get 20 on average, and that's just what he's going to get.
I mean, he's only top 20 one week, and that was week 1.
And that's very valuable. That is extremely valuable to have a running back that's going to get, especially at running back, that's going to get you 20-ish, yeah, give or take, whatever it is. That's awesome. Like, no doubt. He's an elite player at running back.
All right. I'll give you my living on a player because I need to stop drinking for a second. That is so much Evan Williams. Scott, why didn't you stop me when I was making that? I told you to say when. My living on a player.
That was your deal.
My living on a player. We've already talked about him for a second. He put up 30 plus last week, and it saved my bacon. He's the RB1 on the year. He has been Mr. Reliable for me since week 2, at least. That is Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, who I drafted in the first round, one of very, very few first round running backs who has actually shown his worth and been worth the draft pick. I think going back to it, we talked about fantasy mulligans on our previous podcast. A lot of people said they would have changed their draft, and we've said that quarterbacks are a must. And this year, especially, if you didn't have a top 5 or 6 quarterback, if you didn't have one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends, or one of the top 4 or 5 receivers, you were kind of shit out of luck. Running back has really been a wasteland once you get past Saquon, Austin, Eckler, even Joe Mixon even is in the top 10, just in consistency. We've had a lot of running back issues this year, and Austin Eckler, the last 4 weeks, 34, 35, 24, 36. The dude is an absolute beast and the foundational cornerstone of my lineup. If I could keep him next year, I would, but I can't. So he's definitely my living on a player for this season and this season only.
And it makes 100% sense. Honestly, if you look at it, week 4, 2 touchdowns, week 5, a TD, week 6, a TD, week 7, a TD. That's that dude. He is that dude for sure, and he is that person that you build an offense around. And if some people might not know that we had a podcast earlier, there were people that were worried about Austin Eckler, and it makes sense. It makes sense but you did the right thing and hung on to him. So like, what led you hanging on to him at this point in time? Like, was there like a gut feeling, or is there a like or RB
I'd
touch
say
ratio?
at the time, so keep in mind, and anybody who's traded with me so far this year knows, through the first 4 or 5 weeks, I was extremely running back heavy. Like I had 5 or 6 decent running backs on my roster at any given time through the first 4 weeks. And when I started trading, what I traded was running backs for wide receivers, quarterbacks, basically whatever I could get. So for me, Austin Eckler was one of those things where even if he's bad, I had the running backs to back it up. Like if Breece Hall or Dameon Pierce really showed up in weeks 3 and 4, I would have been able to make that switch if Austin Eckler was declining. But trading away Dameon Pierce and now losing Breece Hall, there is nobody that I'm living on a player with more than Austin Eckler.
You cannot argue. Stats alone.
Seriously.
You can give the backstory, but stats alone, you can't argue. So,
Scott, do you want me to talk about Matt's living on a player of Cooper Kupp, or do you want to talk about it and I can try to finish this drink?
No. Yeah, I can do that. It's a very interesting.
Oh God, I was really hoping you wanted me to talk about Cooper Kupp.
Actually, fucking run with it, brother. Go with it.
Oh God. No, you got it. Tell the people about Cooper Kupp. I got a drink to finish.
No, sir, absolutely not.
Okay, Cooper Kupp. Oh my God, I hate this. Cooper Kupp currently projected 20 points as a wide receiver going into this week. Matt's living on a player. Started off this season with 2 weeks consistently, Mr. Consistent at 31.8 in week 2. 31.8. That was against Buffalo and Atlanta. So doing that against Buffalo, not an easy task. Doing it against Atlanta, a little bit easier, but he's maintained since then. He's had 16, 26, 25, and 16 through the remaining weeks. Going into week 7, he had a bye. We get to see Cooper Kupp again up against San Francisco at home. The thing that I love about Cooper Kupp and also hate about Cooper Kupp is that every defense that he plays against knows the ball is going to him and they still cannot stop it. There's no reason why you shouldn't double Cooper Kupp every single time. There's no reason why you shouldn't play zone and know exactly where he's going to go. I don't know if this dude is an elite route runner or if he just has some voodoo black magic witchcraft that he casts on every opposing defensive back. But whatever it is, it's working. Matt's living on a player, Cooper Kupp. Absolute baller.
I think it has to be option B, right? Like at this point, somebody would have figured him out, unless there was voodoo magic. There has to be voodoo magic at this point that says.
Have we confirmed for sure that he didn't make a deal with the devil at the beginning of last year?
He's from Louisiana. Has he ever been in Louisiana?
Okay, hold on. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
There's not whiskey on my desk now. It's fine.
Stat check.
Yeah, stat check. Has Cooper Kupp
ever
dealt
been
with the devil?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. First link says Cooper Kupp comes in clutch, which is code for sold his soul to the devil.
I'm not gonna rule it out.
Yep. All right. Little known fact: Cooper Kupp can also play fiddle really well now.
If you look at what does clutch mean,
if you take the third letter of every word in this article, the Da Vinci Code will tell you he has clearly made a deal with the devil and sold his soul to never be covered properly ever again.
Our podcast did not say it.
Our what?
Our podcast did not say it, but like maybe
podcast. You went British on me for a split second there.
Podcast
or podcast. All right, moving on. We actually have a lot of people simping for tight end in this league. I sent out something in the group me asking who everyone's old reliable, old faithful player was, and I am shocked at the number of tight ends that were sent to me on that prompt. And what I've learned about the guys in this league, and Scott, you'll have to follow me on this one. tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like a lot of the guys that we play fantasy football with, they see a tight end and they just want to grab it and hold on to it and squeeze it in their hands. They just want to hold on to it. They love tight ends, you know? They just love them. And number one on that list, we can't talk about tight ends without talking about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce on Ayahuasca's Anonymous, Alex Orbeck's team. Nobody loves a tight end like Alex Orbeck.
I think the issue with Ayahuasca's Anonymous is the gluttony of fucking talent on this team right now.
There's a lot of talent, but also a lot of. I just pulled up the roster, and the amount of red Qs that I see on this roster right now, it's concerning, and I feel for you, buddy. I'm gonna make jokes about you squeezing tight ends, but also I feel that. I feel it. I feel the red Qs. I do. I really do. He's got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's got 5 players that are questionable going into this week, including Russell Wilson, and that's dangerous. Yes.
Dangerous. How?
Oh, Russell Wilson being dangerous. I mean, Russell Wilson is a danger to anyone he flies with, doing 4 hours worth of high knees in the aisle on that flight to London.
I'm sorry, Patrick Dragon. Pat Dragon just got triggered at this moment. And right now, I'm so sorry. He's so upset at this moment right now. But if we look at this matchup right now,
I'll tell you right now for Pat Dragon. For Pat Dragon, we have a Mexico trip coming up where we do happen to be traveling to the same place, and I'm really tempted to change my flight to the same flight that Patrick Dragon is on, just so I can wear a Broncos jersey and do high knees in the aisle the entire time that we're flying to Mexico. I'm really tempted to do it.
I would pay for your flight.
You would pay for my Aeromexico direct out of there. I mean, okay, can I just ask you honestly? Okay.
Yeah.
Sports that we played as kids, when we were traveling, there was kind of like a general rule of thumb that like you and your teammates have to travel together. You guys have to be in hotels together. You got to be generally chill with like everybody on your team to get along well enough so you don't murder them before, the track meet, before the soccer tournament, before the whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being a grown ass man who is no less than a millionaire? Everyone who's on that flight is a millionaire, right? They can afford to do something else.
Yeah.
But they fly together as a team, and their quarterback is doing high knees and stretches for 4 hours on a transatlantic flight.
Yep. And you also know that you can afford the best fucking
Oh, these guys are flying Lufthansa.
The best defense lawyer in the world. Like you like, I can get the best defense lawyer in the world if I just fucking choke slam Russ. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't that drive you up a wall?
And also, like Tom Brady, you have to think about Tom Brady fucking laying into his offensive line.
Question. Do you think the pilots on the Broncos flight when Russell Wilson was doing high knees and stretches in the aisle for 4 fucking hours, do you think the captain came on and was like, this is your captain speaking. Can the guy doing high knees chill the fuck out?
We're no longer serving snacks, so if you could please sit down at this moment in time.
We are now only serving danger witches. Grab your parachute and get the fuck out. Yeah. Anyway, back to living on a player. Alex Orbeck told me in confidence that his living on a player, his main number one guy that he's really built his team around, is no other than Danger Russ Wilson. Loves everything that he does. Alex Orbeck, who we know because we live near him and we've seen him frequenting subway restaurants. It only survives on a diet of danger witches. Yeah. I mean,
so and we know we're back, and that's what he does. A lot of people would look at his roster and say, "Hey, maybe Christian McCaffrey." Like, right? Hey, maybe McCaffrey. No. If you know Orb, and we know Orb, it's about the danger.
He loves the danger.
It's about the danger. Have you ever done anything dangerous? If I had a nickel for every time Orb ever looked at me and said, "You ever done anything dangerous?" I would be a millionaire. And so, a lot of people.
Can we be honest? That commercial was weird, right? Like, is everyone on the same page that Russell Wilson is just a fucking weirdo?
Oh, can you name a worse NFL commercial?
I'll tell you. We found out this year that two quarterbacks that we looked up to and respected, we found out they were fucking wackos. Number one is Russell Wilson for just being corny to a level we didn't expect, and number two is Aaron Rodgers for being like actually like old man crazy, lives on a diet of desert peyote like crazy.
Like actually peyote, like actually. It's been a funny thing, like, oh, he was so good, he could do whatever he wanted. His eyes were always red and like glossy and bloody or whatever, but like he actually might be on some shit. And I think everybody was like starting to acknowledge that.
Yeah, no, that was wild. All right, so I'm going back through the list here. Let's see who our old faithfuls are. Let's keep talking about those sweet tight ends that everyone in our league loves to just hold on to and grab with their two hands. We mentioned him earlier, only putting up single digits, but it was surprising because up until now, he's been rock solid. That's Zach Ertz, the living on a player for Slap Me Josh Daddy, Patrick Dragon. He has Josh Allen on his team and still chose Zach Ertz as his living on a player because of the consistency. And the one time that he chose Zach Ertz for consistency, he lost him the matchup. And that is a tragic accident. You hate to see it. Only 2 receptions against New Orleans, targeted 4 times, only put up 6.1, needed only 7 more, which would have been right in the range. His average close to 12 or 13. Living on a player up until now, but Zach Ertz, tough beat.
I think this is one of the for the people who had a submission. I get it. I see what you're going for. Ertz with like double digits every single weekend makes sense, but Josh Allen, come on, man. That's like
just for comparison, Josh Allen's weekly totals. So even if you remove positional advantage, you just look at the weekly totals of fantasy points: 31, 29, 26, 23, 35, 26. The dude has only scored less than 25 points one time, and he scored 23 and a half. Like, so I would kill for that at any position.
I think maybe they're like, it begs the question, what was his mindset when he made the answer? I don't know.
He did say, no. Pat did say, he said the obvious answer is Josh Allen. But the way the question was phrased is like, who's your old faithful? Who's your reliable? Who's your, like, you can count on him for whatever you need? And he said Zach Ertz, and I think he jinxed him.
I don't see how it could be Zach Ertz. If you
I do. So I had Pierre Garcon a few years ago, and he was that wide receiver. He's like a Jarvis Landry, right? Like a possession dog, where he's gonna get you somewhere between 12 and 18 points every week, and that's it. No more, no less.
You're talking about a wide receiver.
But at tight end this year, getting double digits guaranteed every week, I see where Pat's coming from. That is a godsend, because if you don't have one of the top two tight ends, you're really in the pits. Like, that is bad for tight ends this year.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that Kyle Pitts jab.
My team is the Pitts.
Yeah. Had to send in a jab for Kyle Pitts, who might be one of the biggest draft busts of all year. All right, let's check out some other ones. Another one that we had one more tight end that was mentioned in this conversation. Let's check out these rosters, see if I can find this tight end that we were talking about. Wow, the current tight end landscape is just so bad. Darren Waller not living up to expectation. TJ Hawkinson, big boom games, but nothing. Dalton Schultz, my keeper that I had this year, got dropped at one point and then picked up by not just Matt Kumar's team, but also now is currently starting for Ayahuasca's Anonymous. And then let's see, I'm currently starting Taysom Hill because I'm spicy. Burst and Ballers. Mark Andrews has got to be the guy. Gavin saying that Mark Andrews was his win on a player, currently projected at 15.9 going into this week. Had a really bad showing this past week, but he's kind of the opposite of Travis Kelce, or not Travis Kelce, kind of the opposite of Zach Ertz, where Zach Ertz gets you like a consistent average of 10 to 15. Mark Andrews can get you 25.7, 28.9, 22, 23.6, but he's also going to have some absolute dud weeks. Scott, how would you like to have a tight end who can either score you 4 points or 25 points? Like,
Well, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, obviously anybody wants that, right? Like anybody wants a tight end that can get you 25, 28, 22, 23. Yeah, everybody wants that. But like, is the dud worth it? Is that a keeper value thing?
Let me tell you his keeper value. Mark Andrews was drafted in the 4th round as a keeper by Gavin. So great value this year. Going into next year, that's going to have to be a 2nd round draft pick.
Right. And yeah, a big baller for sure. But you don't know what year to year the offense is going to look like either, right? Like that's always the biggest question, especially with the tight end. Is somebody, are you going to get the dump off passes? Are you going to get the red zone scores? I don't know. I quite frankly, I would love him. Absolutely. I think if he was a keeper, I'd probably keep him at tight end. Yeah.
You would keep Mark Andrews in the 2nd round next year?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it would. He puts up numbers.
God, 2nd round is so early for a tight end, though.
He puts up numbers.
But he has dud weeks. He can like actually lose you a week.
He can actually win you a week too, though.
I know, right? That's that. I would have to build the roster around that and have some. I'd have to have some good floor players in my lineup, guaranteed next year to make that ideal.
7 weeks in, he can get you 20 points plus at this point.
Yeah,
with a TD.
It's not bad. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see when people start marking their keepers, other than Corey Funderburg, if Gavin decides to keep Mark Andrews in the 2nd, because I think that's gonna have to be a value decision. Because now he also has, let's look at it, Dalvin Cook, who was drafted 11th overall. So Dalvin Cook is no longer a keeper. So I mean, I could see Mark Andrews being a 2nd round keeper. That would mean that Gavin would have to go most likely quarterback, potentially star running back, and then he would have a tight end advantage going in. But after that, Mark Andrews is back on the market. Let's take a look at a couple other pass catchers that were living on a player. Alex Dragon, our current league leader, said that his go-to guy, his absolute dog who has kept him in this league leading position, Stephon Diggs.
Wow.
And I don't blame him. Stephon Diggs, I mean, any piece of that Buffalo offense, you gotta love. 26, 44.8, 14, 10, 24, and 30.8. That 44.8 score week in week 2, that might be the highest I've seen from a player so far this year. I'm pretty sure that is number 1 for a player this year. And Stephon Diggs can do that regardless of the matchup.
And he's not getting an insane amount of like looks. Like no, he's getting his looks for sure, but like targets 9, 15, 11, 6, 11, 13. Yeah, he's getting his. It's like insane.
He's a 2nd round pick for Alex Dragon, putting up 44.8, almost dropped a 50 burger single-handedly as a wide receiver. That's normally something you would see from like your quarterback 1 in the league. But no, he's got Stephon Diggs doing it at the wide receiver spot, currently projected at 18.6 going into this week. I don't blame him for that at all. Looking at Corey Funderburg's team, not necessarily a pass catcher, but more the guy who just gets the football in Las Vegas. Looking at Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs living on a player and currently listed as a keeper for Corey Funderburg, projected at 19.5 points this week. His previous 3 weeks, not including the bye, his previous 3 weeks, Scott, are 34, 30, and 36.5.
Are you a buyer? That's the question. Are you a buyer? Right?
I honestly don't think any of us have enough capital to give to Corey Funderburg to get him to give up Josh Jacobs.
With a ton of the season left.
Yeah, a ton of the season left. He's absolutely crushing. He's finally in that workhorse role. And a 4th round draft pick, not even a keeper, a 4th round draft pick.
Yeah, you're
Corey
right.
Funderburg. So he can keep Josh Jacobs in the 2nd round.
He's an RB1, right? He's very much RB1 in a big way.
His last 3 weeks yardage, 144, 154, 143. Dude is an absolute monster.
It's a monster. Like that's a monster. That's a monster that you want on your team. For sure.
Yeah. So congrats to you, Corey Funderburg, for sticking with Josh Jacobs even through the bad first few weeks. Now you're getting 30 points on a weekly basis. Love to see it. All right. Who's our last one here? Who have we not talked about? Patty the Batty, Wesley Fall, looking at Patrick Mahomes as his number 1 guy, his living on a player. 34, 17, 17, 23, 30, 19, and 26. I don't blame him. Even though that might seem a little up and down, you look at his other quarterback options, and Patrick Mahomes is that guy. Patrick Mahomes is, honestly, part of me wants to draft Patrick Mahomes on my fantasy teams going down the road just so I can watch Patrick Mahomes play football. It is genuinely fun.
Part of me, I kind of want to do like the fun thing where you and me draft somebody on his lineup that's like kind of ridiculous, kind of makes sense. Like it's clearly not going to be Patrick Mahomes, but like I kind of want to do like a fun, like Mike Evans, like right. He not an obvious draft, but he's also been awesome. 30 points, 12, 8, and 18.6. Yeah, it makes sense that Patty the Dragons wants to draft him. But if you look at Mike Evans, that'd be a fun draft. That'd be a great draft, right?
Scott, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't comprehend a word of what you just said.
Well,
I heard a lot of Mike Evans and I heard a lot of drafting. I don't know how those two connected.
Well, no, I was gonna say like it would be fun if we did the thing where we're gonna draft somebody on the roster where it was like it doesn't make sense whatsoever for this to be your number 1 dude.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I think we can do that with Corey Eller, who did not send something in for his living on a player. And if I'm looking at his roster, I got to tell you what I really like about his roster and what he has told me in private through so many text messages is he loves Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is just unlimited potential. You know how Russell Wilson used to be Mr. Unlimited? The new Mr. Unlimited is Kyle Pitts because he has unlimited potential that we just haven't seen yet. So you look at his weekly totals, 3.9, 3.9, 13, 3.5, 10, 3.9. He's Mr. Unlimited, but really he's Mr. 3.9. That's like a cap for what he's going to do. And that we love to see that kind of trickery where Kyle Pitts is convincing defenses he's only going to put up 3.9 points because weeks 8 through 14, that's really where it's going to pop off. We're saving that potential for when it matters. So Corey Eller's living on a player, the guy he loves the most on his team, Kyle Pitts. Definitely worth the, pretty sure that was a 3rd round draft pick. Let's take a look. That was a 4th round keeper selection by Corey Eller. All right, let's take a quick look at the matchups coming up. Or Scott, you want to do waiver report? You want to?
That's exactly where we're at right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the waiver report. Going into recent activity, looking at the waiver wire offers. The big spender this week, Gavin Gilmore, spending $30 on, was it a quarterback? No. Was it a star pass catcher? No. It was Chuba Hubbard for $30 a fab, uncontested. We love to see it. Love to see those moves. It's making Wesley feel pretty good knowing that other people are making the same mistake. Matt brought up a good point in the group me. People don't spend fab in this league, except they do, Matt, spending $1 more than me on Justin Fields. $1 more. He puts up $8 for Justin Fields. I put up $7. I knew it. I should have known after we talked about it on the podcast. I should have upped my offer to something more than $8. We said that was kind of like our cutoff number. Ruined myself.
We gave away a cheat code at that point in time. We said 7 points or $7 or whatever it is. And $7 was our number, and then we got outbid at $8.
Yeah. So other notable ads, Kyron Williams, which I think is a very interesting roster stash for a team that's headed to the playoffs. Kyron Williams stashed by Matt Kumar for $16. Justin Fields added for $8. I could have gotten him for $7, but that's fine. I'm totally fine. Everything hurts. I'm okay. Tyler Algier added by Pat Dragon. Greg Joseph, kicker, added by Alex Orbeck for $4. Titans defense added for $3. Your boy here got Taysom Hill for $2. Taysom Hill, a tight end who is also a quarterback and also a running back. Am I grasping at straws? Who's to say?
Maybe a wide receiver also.
All right. Yeah, he could be Mr. Football in New Orleans. We'll see how it goes. Apparently, we just nominated Andy Dalton as the starter, even though Jameis Wilson is apparently healthy, ? Pulling a Russell Wilson and just saying, like, am I hurt? I don't know.
Spinal.
Spinal. All right. Let's take a look at our future matchups. Let's look ahead into week 8 real fast. Let's go here to the scoreboard. Looking at week 8. Scott, you want to talk to me a little bit about your matchup that you have coming up against the league leader, Tossing Lettuce, Alex Dragon. This is my most anticipated matchup because you're projected pretty close, even though you're 1-6 and he's 6-1. You guys are currently projected pretty close, and a lot of that comes down to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I think most people, if we're looking at the lineup, are looking at me and Alex. Alex Dragon, that is. If you're looking at me, I'm at 1-6. He's at 6-1. Honestly, like the league is on the edge of the seats right now to see what happens.
Are they, Scott?
Yeah, I know. I honestly, God, I think most people are like trying to like figure out how is this going to shake out. And if you look at it, projections 160 or 129 for him, 122 for me, give or take a little bit, plus or minus. Who knows? It's good. Let's let it all play out on the boards.
Scott, what you just told me was the projections are 122 plus or minus. Who knows? Let's see how it plays out.
Let's just let it. Let's play it out. I don't think anybody knows really anything, to be honest. ESPN and everybody else. If you look at the projections, okay, yeah, maybe I don't have great projections. Okay, that's fine. That said,
I love that the quote of the night from you is, I don't think anybody knows everything, especially ESPN. Nope. Nobody. Hey, ain't nobody know nothing. Am I right, Scott? Yeah. All right. So the next one that we have Gavin Gilmore facing off against Patrick Dragon. Gavin projected at 119, Pat projected at 126. This is kind of going to come down to Josh Allen and Jamar Chase and seeing whether or not they can break 20 apiece and match their projections up against Danny Dimes and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, a very sneaky pickup by Gavin Gilmore, starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. We're going to see if Gavin's team can outperform and if Patrick's team can underperform and maybe make that close. Otherwise, looks like it's a Patrick Dragon runaway. Another matchup we have is Corey Funderburg at 5-2, facing off against Alex Orbeck at 4-3. That projected winner is Corey Funderburg by a margin of about 13 points, aided primarily by Joe Burrow and Josh Jacobs, two absolute stars at their position. If Josh Jacobs keeps his 30-point plus streak rolling, I see that as a very difficult one for Alex to overcome. But I'm interested in seeing Christian McCaffrey on his new team.
McCaffrey is the wild card. It is the wild card right here for sure.
I'm very excited to see that. And for those of you who are interested in seeing that game, Christian McCaffrey against the Rams, that is going to be a West Coast matchup. Let me see if I can pull up the details for that game. It's going to be 49ers Rams. Let's see. That game is going to be an afternoon game on Sunday. So that'll be very interesting to see how that shakes down for that particular matchup. But I just want to see Christian McCaffrey getting utilized by a creative play caller. Our next matchup that we have is Corey Eller at 2-5 facing off against Matt Kumar, our reigning champion, trying to break a 3-game losing streak. Jalen Hurts projected at 24.03. Lamar Jackson projected at 21. This is going to be an absolute blowout if the projections are true, but we're going to see how Kyler Murray and Geno Smith do for Corey Eller. Otherwise, I expect Matt to run away with this one. And our last matchup we'll talk about is Patty the Batty, Wesley Fall facing off against me. Wesley's currently projected to win thanks to Saquon Barkley, but I'm really hoping that I have a couple healthy players. Scott, you got anything left for us? We have less than a minute. Wrap it up.
My wrap up is Joe Mixon is the truth. He's going to get you 19 to 20 points for sure. Saquon Barkley is fucking going to be a G as well. Good luck. And I hope we will all hear everybody in the next week.
Cheers, boy. This was fun. I did not finish this drink and I'm sorry.
And everybody. Round 2. Let's get it.